Our fourth option here is the static. Our static option, when used with our position property, will just maintain the normal flow of the HTML document. Now for the first three properties here, for the absolute, relative, and fixed, we need to be able to somehow position the element using a coordinate system. And that's where our next properties come into play. We have the top, bottom, left, and right options when it comes to positioning. Now typically we are only going to set two of these because by setting all four of them could create confusion for the browser and may not make any sense, because these values will be relative to the edges of the parent containing element. So the top value is going to be in relation to the top of the containing element. So it's the edge of that top containing element and the top of our positioned element. Bottom is in relation to the bottom of the containing element and the bottom of our positioned element, and so on and so forth. So typically when you use this, you would set up two pairs of values, such as top and left or bottom and right. Now it is possible for you to use such combinations as top and bottom or left and right, and by specifying how far apart these should be from the top and bottom edge or left and right edge, it will control the width of our element automatically. So if we always designate that the left-hand side should be 50 pixels from that left-hand side of the browser, and the right value should be 50 pixels from the right-hand side of the browser, whenever we change the browser size, it's always going to stay in position. So all four of these, the top, bottom, left, and right, will be available when we're working with our absolute, relative, and fixed. Now there is another property that we probably want to take a look at whenever we're using our absolute positioning. The reason why this is going to be so important for us is because this property will allow us to stack objects on top of each other. And that property is the z-index. The z-index is going to add the third dimension to our websites. Now basically we have an x and y coordinate system, with x being from left to right and y being from top to bottom. The z-index allows us to add a dimension of depth there and stack elements on top of each other. Now the z-index works essentially like layers in a graphics editing program, and we can stack elements in whatever specific order that we want. And we can essentially use whatever number that we want, but it cannot be negative. So we can end up stacking a menu using the z-index and setting that to 300. So that 300 value would make it so that our menu would be on top as long as there were no higher numbers than 300. In relation to our traditional HTML documents, you can think of your normal flow as being z-index of 0. You can think of your background property being z-index of -1. Now of course that's not a real property that you can set, but that's something that you can think about that may help you whenever you're dealing with z-index of 3 or 400 or whatever you're dealing with. But just know that your natural flow is z-index of 0 because it's not positioned anywhere, and your backgrounds for your different elements on the z-index of 0 would be z-index of -1. Now that concludes our look at positioning basics.